No Fat is the 10th episode of the 3rd season of Everybody Loves Raymond. This is directed by Steve Zuckerman, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And I do have a question, and I'm asking this particularly because I don't know what the answer is. I can't decide. Was Marie right to cook the Thanksgiving dinner that she did? And I will discuss some pros and cons of what she did as we get there in the episode, but I genuinely can't come to a conclusion on that. I'm thinking there probably isn't a right or wrong approach, but if anybody has any opinions on this, I'd love to know. So as I said, spoilers from now, and it starts off with Debra speaking with her parents, finding out they're actually going to Turkey for Thanksgiving, and they're going to be having Thanksgiving with Frank and Marie. And Ray then goes over there, and Marie offers him some eggs, and Frank tells him no, because they're not real eggs. And we find out they went to this senior health fair, and Ray has some good suggestions for the rides at the health fair. And we find out that their cholesterol is borderline high. And what I loved about this is Marie and Frank kind of had a little competition with who was the healthiest. And we have, I didn't write these down, so see if I can remember it. Their cholesterol was both, they both had borderline high cholesterol, really close to the danger zone, but Marie was 1 point higher. But Frank had higher blood pressure, but Marie was better at something else. And I liked that. I liked that they had this little competition. And Marie has decided they're going to eat healthier to watch their cholesterol. And she shovels everything unhealthy from the fridge into this bag. And Frank grabs the bag and says he's going to have a picnic. And he declares, quite harshly but funny in the moment, out with the old bag, in with the new. Obviously referring to Marie as the old bag. I love watching Marie and Frank interact with each other. I just think they're absolutely fantastic. Ray then comes home a little while later, and we have this interesting scene that definitely suggests things are not what they usually are, because Marie says, Debra's teaching me so much about cooking, which is not words that would usually come out of her mouth. They're looking through this cookbook that has healthy recipes in, and I loved the line when Ray says, in this kitchen, the healthiest thing to do is leave. Debra's face was fabulous. And they come to a section on how to enjoy a low-fat Thanksgiving. And of course, we established in the opening scene that Thanksgiving is arriving, and Marie starts to think about this, and they're talking about tofu turkey, and Marie thinks, no, I'll just cook a regular dinner for everybody else. And Debra is the one who said, you shouldn't have to cook 2 dinners. Just cook the healthy dinner because that's what you want to make and you're cooking it. And that is the argument for what Marie did, the argument in favour of what Marie did. She is cooking it. She gets to decide what they eat. It's as simple as that. But the other argument is that Thanksgiving means a lot to a lot of people. A lot of people really enjoy the food aspect. It brings people together. It's a nice environment. It's a lovely experience. I'm saying this as a British person, but we have a very similar response to Christmas dinner. Maybe not quite as much because we don't always have chicken or turkey at Christmas. Our meats do differ depending on households. But I know the turkey is really significant to a lot of households in the States at Thanksgiving. So my argument against what Marie did is that she was taking away one of the core things that a lot of people look forward to at Thanksgiving just because she's on a health kick. So I can see Debra's argument. Marie shouldn't have had to make 2 separate meals, or a turkey for them and tofu for her. But at the same time, people shouldn't have to miss out just because she's trying to eat healthier. So I genuinely can't work out what the right thing to do in that situation would have been. And if anybody has any thoughts on that, I'd love to know, because I can't come to a conclusion. Of course, Marie does then cook the tofu turkey, and honestly, she was so pleased with herself when she brings it into the main room. Everybody's over at Marie and Frank's, and it's got these like fake legs on and the little hats on the legs, and it looks fantastic, at least until we get a close-up of it. And I mean, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look that appetizing, though. And they're trying to eat it, and we get to see everybody's reactions in turn. And I liked the fact that even Debra found it difficult to swallow. It actually sounded really nice. It had Worcestershire and I think beetroot sauce with it. That sounds really nice. But nicer than turkey? I doubt it. That being said, I'm not a huge fan of turkey. I do prefer chicken, but honestly, it sounded quite nice. It looked more appealing than what they were making it out to be. And I don't cook, I can't cook, but I would genuinely be quite curious to make that recipe and see what it's like. But I love the fact that even Debra, yeah, she found it difficult to eat. Marie seemed quite happy with it. Frank's Frank's face was fabulous. Robert, he had a very dramatic reaction. He was slapping the table. And a line that I loved, because I didn't predict the punchline. Ray said to Robert, "You should have brought your dog over." And Robert said, "Even Shamsky wouldn't eat this stuff." And Ray said, "No, but we could have eaten him." I didn't predict that punchline, which I rather liked. And then there's a knock at the door. It's a delivery person with a full Thanksgiving dinner. And it turns out that Ray had ordered the Thanksgiving dinner to go to his house so they could eat the more traditional food afterwards. And on the one hand, I don't necessarily blame him for doing that. Had Marie not found out about it, I don't think it would have been that big of a deal. But at the same time, he should have known that that was going to be delivered to his house and somebody was going to have to be there to collect it. So he didn't necessarily think it through. Debra takes the food away and orders Ray to go into the kitchen to apologise to Marie. And Marie is the one who ends up apologising. And that's the point when I started to question what the right thing to do in this situation would have been. Was Marie right? Because she's making the dinner. She is slaving away in the kitchen. Well, I say slaving away. She likes to cook, but she is the one spending the time in the kitchen, putting everything together. So she should get to decide what goes on the table. But as she points out, Ray looks forward to her Thanksgiving dinner. It's something he enjoys year in, year out, or I guess alternating years if they alternate between the parents now. And he missed out on that. And she did feel bad about that. I don't think she should feel bad about it, but at the same time, I won't go on about it. But I'm so baffled that I can't make up my mind about this. So I'd love to know if anybody has any strong thoughts. And then the end scene is just absolutely fantastic. Ray comes downstairs in the middle of the night, and I thought, I was wrong about this, I couldn't remember from the last time I saw this, but I thought that it would be Debra in the kitchen eating the food. It was better than that. It was Marie. Marie was caught turkey leg-handed eating this meat and then shoveling buttery potatoes in her mouth. It really made me want butter. And then Ray joins her. And then Frank comes over. And I loved Marie's line, "You going to talk or you going to eat?" Frank doesn't need to be asked twice. And then Robert comes over. And then Debra comes downstairs. And then the kids come downstairs. And everybody's having Thanksgiving dinner version 2. And it's a lovely, relaxed atmosphere. And that's one of the things that I think people love about, well, Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner. It's familiar, it's comforting. If you change that and you have food that's not recognisable, that's not nostalgic, that's not comforting, it's not the same experience, which again is the argument against what Marie did. So I genuinely have no idea what the best outcome would have been. I'd love to know if anybody has any thoughts, or indeed if anybody's been in this situation. I imagine it's something a lot of people face. If they're on a health kick or for whatever reason, they don't want to eat the traditional food, but they're cooking it. I guess the solution, I'm now thinking of this, the solution would have been for everybody to bring a dish. Instead of letting Marie, although would Marie have let them bring something? She does like to control the kitchen. I don't know. If she'd let them, a solution would have been Marie can make her tofu, maybe Ray can bring a smaller turkey, not a huge turkey, but enough that people can have some tofu, some turkey, and that would have been the best of both worlds. I have now, after talking about this for nearly 10 minutes, I have come to my own conclusion of what the best scenario would have been. I don't know if it would have played out, but I think that's my solution. But if anybody has any thoughts, please let me know. The episode as a whole, no fat, is a brilliant episode of Everybody Loves Raymond.